Good morning, students and teachers. This is Bill MacDonald, the writing doctor. Good afternoon if you happen to be watching this later on in the day. I'm going to share with you how to come up with what I call a colorful introduction for personal narrative using the W's that I think are important. And depending on your age, you want to have more W's than less W's. For example, if you're 5 years old, hopefully you know there's who, what, when, where, and why. So if you're in kinder, your introduction should have who went with you in your personal narrative, what you were doing when you got there, when your story took place, where you were at, and why you were there. The older you are, the more W's you're going to add. And so I'm going to be showing you, if you're a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old, my age or more in details in terms of colorful introductions. And we're going to even assign a color to each one of the W's that we came up with in our outline so we can see how we use it in our rough draft. So this is part 2 of our personal narrative brainstorming, planning, and introductions. We want to finish up introductions before we start talking about the body in the next video. Click on the link below and you'll get all of the PDF handouts and everything that come with this video. Feel free to watch it for free, but 90% of the things that I'm sharing in the personal narrative webinars, all recorded now, are not going to be found inside your Dear Doc binder, because that focuses on what's tested this last year of writing, the expository and persuasive purposes of writing. So let's go ahead and check and see how I can get a great score based on my age. My age or more will get a great score. On the top of a personal narrative prompt, a reminder is going to say personal narrative. That's the purpose. The most important person in the personal narrative is me. I am the star of the show. AL actually lived it, or I can actually lie about it. So I need a real or realistic response about topic in very effective essay. And if I do that following the prompt, then I can get a 2, a 3, or a 4. There's a picture of some dude standing next to a swimming pool with some floaties. Apparently he's with someone because there's somebody taking the picture. The what's known as the think section for expository just has a little sentence here for personal narrative. It says, it's great to be able to remember good things that have happened to you. Okay, remembering good things are memories. So then we teach the students to read the prompt, the third section, by thinking of the word wow. W-O-W, or what we might call W, circle W, underline write, and circle the key words, wow. So write, underlined, a personal narrative that's about me or I, about a nice memory. I have an arrow pointing up because that's positive. With someone, that's 2 different things. So the specific demands, plural, of the prompt are that it has to be positive at least somewhere in the story, and I have to be with someone at least part of the story. How do I get to a 1? Make sure you have a personal experience. So a 1-2 paper. Personal narrative is our purpose. Our prompt, our topic. If I touch the top of my head, that stands for topic. It has to be a nice memory, positive, with someone. And so I use the acronym PEPE from the handout. And PEPE stands for what person is going to be there. Well, I for introduction can also be I, me. I have to be in there, and hopefully no matter what prompt you get, you can have that engine take you to one place, one GPS location in the universe. Okay, because we're talking to fourth graders and higher for this specific video, our first W can be the whistle, the attention getter. Whatever you write first that gets their attention, that EFFA is what event. And so there you go. In order to get to 1-2 land, what place can I go to, an event that I have that can respond to the prompt. So that's BEP. Okay, and we have the kids use this basic, it's a flow chart when it's moving from left to right, and a tree map when you're moving from top to bottom. The prompt is a nice memory with someone, and my nice memory is going to be I catch a 41-inch bull red, and the EFFA is what's my ending going to be? What extension can I give? Because in order to get 3s and 4s, you're supposed to be telling the reader, why was this experience important to you? How was your life different or better or worse? And then take your paper to the emergency room of editing and revising. If you like the C idea, introduction, body, conclusion, then say yes. Make sure you have a conclusion. And because of the extension, how has your life changed? What change can you write about? And then go to the conventions and work on grammar editing and work on content to work on revising. So that was how to get a 1. What does it say on how to get a 2? Well, organize it. Well, we just finished showing you some organization. How is it going to be organized? With Pepe. The place, the event, the prompt, and an ending. If they can at least see some structure of a personal narrative, and that's a story written in first person past tense, then we will probably for sure be able to get to what we call a 1-2 paper. How do we get to a 2-3 paper? Let's develop our ideas in detail. So that's why on the train it says here, make sure you turn the event fishing into an experience. I want to have hopefully at least 4-5 sentences, my grade or more, of me catching a fish where I can at least qualify for saying I've developed my event. Now, anywhere between your grade and your age are great. My grade is 4th. My age is 9 or 10. So anywhere between 4 to 10 sentences on an event is reasonable to get a 2-3 paper for sure, depending on the quality. And what's going to happen is by taking the event, the main idea, and turning it into an experience, you're turning a picture into a video. So how do we get a 4? It says to choose your words carefully. The word words starts with a W. So if you think of it like this, I need higher vocabulary and I need voice in my paper. So I use an acronym called TOES. Don't judge a person until you've walked a mile in his shoes. Inside his shoes are his toes, his voice, the voice and writing. And that's going to be a lot of higher vocabulary, figurative language. We're going to be using toes as in what are my T's, my thoughts, my opinions, my emotions, grabbing my heart, using my 5 senses, things that I might have said because it was a story written in past tense. And I'm grabbing my belly now saying salsa. What high vocabulary and figurative language can I put in sparingly and for effect? You can do that. I call that exploding the essay. And you can have the most amazing story in the world, but you have to remember that somewhere in this fishing experience, it has to be turned into a nice memory, and your friend has to be part of the story, the experience, because of what's called the specific demands of the prompt. If I have a nice memory and I'm alone, that's a 1-2 paper because you didn't follow the prompt. If I'm with someone, but I don't see anything about a positive experience coming out, it's nothing but negative or just neutral, then it's still going to be a 1-2 paper, because you're not following the specific demands of the prompt. For me, it would be a nice memory to be able to catch a 41-inch bull red. I didn't catch one in the place that I'm going to be writing about today, but I did catch one up in Galveston. I just tweaked the story to make sure it takes place in a different place. All right, so the next thing that it says, use correct spelling, capitalization, punctuation, grammar, and sentences. That's why we have those two the E there, what ending and extension. Those are the most important sentences that you can end with. What conclusion and change can you write about? Sentences plural. And then the cups of conventions, the revising of content, the editing and revising emergency room, the grammar, and the content. So we basically have what we call an outline. And so if you're going to give your kids a grade after they've done it because you've taught it, you can say, okay, your outline, your structure, your organization is going to be 10 to 20% of this week's grade, because all we're going to be going to get to finish today is the introduction. And it would be a grade that I would give to my students. So I'm going to show you where I got my plan from. If you purchase the very reasonably priced webinar, you're going to go to page, what is this, page 4? Yes, page 4. And basically introduction has the first letter of Pepe. What place am I going to go to? And we had said, let's make a plan. We've already done that. One place for the whole essay. We don't want a bed-to-bed story. Include some of these depending on your age bracket. The whistle, the attention getter. Who, what, when, where, why. If you're 6 years old, you can add the weather. Who, what, when, where, why, weather. If you're 7 years old, you can add the, what I call a wow. What other words could I use to respond to the prompt? Instead of saying nice memory with someone, I'm going to show you a wow statement. Do you have the toes details? Do you have a whistle attention getter if you're 8 or 9 or 10 to 12 years old? Do you have a wind up? What are you doing to transition to the body? And let me show you what I call an outline using my train. And the train, people will ask me, do you want to use the train as an outline or a rough draft? And so I'll always say yes. Depending on what kind of teaching style that you have, you can use the outline for an outline, the train as an outline, like I'm going to show you here today, or they can write their introduction right there if you don't believe in setting the foundation with an outline. I do believe in it. And so what I've done is I've placed my W's that you just saw in Pepe, and I've assigned a color to each one so that we can color code afterwards to check how many of these details showed up in our rough draft introduction. So you can give percentages. If the outline, if the outline here, the organization counts for 10 to 20%, then how well you write your introduction can be 80 to 90% of the grade. And so my whistle, my attention getter, is going to be, Mike yelled, are you ready to catch your limit? My attention getter is green for go. So you can use anything you want to start your story. The reader doesn't care as long as you're tying it with whatever you're going to be talking about in your essay. The who is me for sure, and Michael Chapa, my boat captain, and also a good friend of mine that I just decided to use today as my person. So here's me responding to the prompt. Half of it, that I'm with somebody. That's going to be in yellow when I find it in my rough draft. What was I doing when the story starts? Flying across the water. We didn't start at the store buying bait or snacks. We're already out on the water, skipping all of the boring stuff, what we call the blah, and getting right to the bling. That's going to be orange. My where is going to be capital Port, capital Mansfield in a boat, because that's how we're flying across the water. I'll call that purple. Why are we doing this fishing trip? Well, there's red drum that have been running through an area near Port Mansfield called the Saucer. That's going to be in pink. What's the weather like that day? I want you to add it. There's going to be a soft breeze coming from the south. I don't need a million details, but I want to be able to paint that. I want you to be able to feel what I'm feeling as I'm moving in the boat. That will be brown. Toes, we said, is thoughts, opinions, emotions, senses, said, or salsa. And I decided to use emotions this time, keeping it simple. I would just teach one skill at a time. My emotions are I'm excited, but I'm anxious. So that's telling you, but how could I show you? Well, by sharing my thoughts with you. My mind was racing, imagining what I would catch today. And the reason I have these check marks, what I did was when I moved these over to my rough draft, I checked them off that they're done. That way when my teacher gives me a grade on my introduction, she's gonna have to give me a decent grade as long as my conventions are good, because we're gonna make sure that our introductions have the editing and revising done before we turn them in. And that way when we start working on the body, we will already have a pretty solid introduction. We can hopefully turn a 1 into a 2 into a 3, or a 3 into a 4 when the teacher gives us some feedback on our introductions. Our wow, I told you that the wow can be, what other words could I use to respond to the prompt? Because some teachers have been misled to feel that the words of the prompt have to be restated or rephrased. And so instead of the Pia Pepe being the person going to a place, they already have the student restating or regurgitating the words of the prompt. And that's not required. I don't even have to use the word prompt. I can say, what other words could I use? Well, instead of nice memory with somebody, I'm gonna have a wonderful experience with my friend Mike. I'm gonna be very specific about that. And so that's gonna show up. I wanna call that the red, because 911, you might want to address the prompt, but I can also arrive at it naturally because I can just see in the body, I can make sure that something nice is happening and that I'm with Michael when that nice thing is happening. So that's what we'd call the outline. That should and can be part of your grade. And so what I did was pretend like I was a student with limited experiences, and I went to page 12 and used my picture writing activity. If you purchase the webinar at the link below, you'll get about, I think it's 40 to 50 of these called picture writing, where it says a picture is like the main idea event of a paragraph. A video shows the event in the order that it happened. Pretend like the person in the picture is you. Think about what happened before and after the picture. Write a paragraph that turns this picture into video. My only paragraph for today is going to be the introduction, but because I'm already a 3-4 student, I want to show you what would a conclusion look like that has all of the W's that can give quality. Now, because this passes my 5 lines that I recommend for introductions, if I'm going to put this much information, I want to write a little bit smaller. And there's nothing wrong. There's no limit in terms of maximum or minimum of lines. As long as you have an introduction that's like an appetizer that draws the reader in, then your body would be like the meat and the vegetables. And what color was that green train? Green. And I love it if vegetables are green. Are you remembering to make sure that in the body, you're creating a nice memory with someone? So I indented the first line because that's what you do for introductions. So here's just the introduction using the outline that I showed you a few minutes ago. My friend and boat captain, Michael Chapa, yelled over the roar of his boat, his brand new $50,000 boat. I think that's what it really cost. Are you ready to catch your limit in Redsville? That was my whistle, my attention getter. And I actually have a train whistle. I have several train whistles that I purchased online, where if I feel like the attention getter, the whistle is great, I'll actually blow the whistle 1, 2, or 3 times. And so my students will get points. We can use M&Ms or Skittles to count how many good details that they have. It was barely the break of dawn as we were flying across the water in the channel at Port Mansfield, Texas. He had just been out a few days before. Since I've only mentioned one other person, he is my friend Michael Chapa, who's the captain. He had just been out a few days before, and the Red Drum were running through an area called the Saucer. There was a soft, gentle breeze coming from the south, and my mind was racing, imagining what I might catch today. I was excited and anxious for the wonderful experience I was about to have with him over the next few hours. So let me use the color coding to kind of fill in. The attention getter was going to be green. My friend Michael, so you can see here, I went ahead and got all the colors for you. I have them inside a little container so they wouldn't fall over the place. Instead of highlighting so where you can't see them, I'm going to just be underlining so we can see how colorful this introduction ends up being. Okay, so I added a few more details. As you can see there, that's green. My next detail that I wrote was me, Michael Chapa, the boat captain, and so that's yellow. Since I've already underlined Michael Chapa in green, I'm going to make sure I circle. There is Michael and my friend. There's me in the story, Bill, and he's my friend. That's going to be the who that we'll mark in a little bit. That's in yellow. He's a boat captain. Did I mention that? Yes. And so there's my yellow. My next W was the what. What were you doing when the story started? I have that in blue. So I'm going to look for the boat flying across the water. There it is. Flying across the water in blue. My next W was, it was the break of dawn. It was like early morning. I could have said that, but I wanted to choose my words carefully and get your attention. Break of dawn, my when is orange in my guide. So there it is right there. It was barely the break of dawn. I underline that in orange in case you're having a hard time seeing my colors. My next W is purple. Where are we? We're in Port Mansfield in a boat. So I'm going to look for that. I did remember that I put $50,000 boat. There's where we're at. And Port Mansfield. I give an extra detail. I'm in the channel at Port Mansfield. So I did add. So if your kids spend a lot of time giving you an outline, what you can say is, I'm going to give you a grade based on what percentage of your details in your outline actually show up in your introduction. So if only half of them show up, then you would want to give them a lower grade, because why are you going to waste all that time coming up with an outline if you're not going to apply those details to your introduction, to your rough draft? Why did we go there? That's going to be in pink. I've got that in here. Said that the Red Drum were running through the place called the Saucer, and there I see it. The red drum running through a place called the Saucer. So I underlined that in pink for those of you that can't see it, students or teachers. Then we had the weather. What was the weather like that day? If you're inside, the weather doesn't matter, but we were going to be outside for this story. So I went ahead and included it. I wrote a soft breeze, so it's cool, but I wanted to show you the weather. So weather I have decided was going to be brown, a soft breeze coming from the south. Let me see if I included that. There it is, soft breeze coming from the south. And that's brown for those of you that are keeping track. My toes details, I can share thoughts, opinions, emotions from my heart, the five senses, what I might have said, which wasn't what I said that we started with. We started with what my friend Michael said. And Salsa, high vocabulary figurative language, which you've seen a couple of times. Let's start with emotions. I'm going to have that be black. My mind was racing. I said I was excited and anxious, and my mind was racing. So there's all of that right there. My emotions were that I was excited and anxious, and another part of it to show my excitement, I had my mind racing, imagining what I might catch today. So all of that is in black. As you can see, we're getting to have a pretty colorful introduction. Our last detail is the wow. What other words could I use besides nice memory with someone? I decided to use wonderful experience with Mike, and then that's going to be in red because we do have to make sure we respond to the prompt. So there's wonderful experience. Okay. And just saying that you're having a wonderful experience is not enough. The reader has to be able to infer or draw a conclusion that there's some positive experience happening in the story. It's not enough just to say that you had a positive experience. You actually have to be writing about one. Having with him, that's with my friend Mike. So there's me making sure the reader's saying, hey, I'm paying attention to the prompt. And so for the next couple of hours, our next video is going to be riding the body, actually getting out there to the water and being able to share the experience with the reader so that we can talk about fishing. And I'm going to be using an acronym called HORSE on that one, and you won't be able to watch it right now, but I look forward to meeting you. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Don't forget to click like if you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel so that you can keep up with all the videos. If you're some students there, good luck. Start with the basic W's first. So people ask me, I don't need to have a 3-4 paper at the beginning. Start with the 5 W's. Who did you go with? My friend Michael Chapa. And I am there too because I have to be there. What were you doing? We were heading out to in the boat flying across the water. Where are we going? To the Saucer in Port Mansfield. When are we leaving? Early morning at the break of dawn. And why are we going? Because my friend Michael found out that the Reds were running. And if that's all I have at the beginning, that's great. And then we can build from there. We can turn a 1-2 paper introduction into a 2-3 and a 2-3 into a 3-4. And all of a sudden, voila, we have a great essay all the way through. God bless you guys. And you just have yourselves a wonderful day. Please share or tag any of your writing teacher friends that are starting the year with personal narrative. That way they can have some ideas on introductions, what we called in this video colorful introductions, just using crayons. Let me know if you have any questions by email. You can see right there, writing_doctor@yahoo.com is my email. go to my website, www.therightprescription.com. If you want to check out some of my other videos or purchase some of my products on my website, my binder, my folders, my graphic organizers, lots of cool things that you can use. And if you're a person that just likes digital, you can also get them on my website, and you can get them on Teachers Pay Teachers at my store called The Right Prescription. God bless and have a great day.